Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to discuss the poem Ozymandias by P.B. Shelley. So please note down the name of the poet. Please P.B. Shelley, Percy Bysshe Shelley. And the poem for us on the part of this poet is Ozymandias. The title of Ozymandias is the title. Is it a term with any meaning or any is it a name? We will come across that detail soon. Before moving to that, let us see who this Shelley is. Actually, I would like you to go back every time with the reference for History of English Literature paper, at least to locate these writers with the age, in the age of their living, so that you can mark down their writings, or at least you can check out their writings, their style of writings, at least their themes with their age, the time period in which they are located, and the specific characteristics of the age in general. Sometimes they are so different from the age in which they are located. For
Ma'am,
example,
voice is breaking.
oh, fine, just wait. So, regarding Shelley, as usual, it's good that you locate these writers in the time period of their being, yeah, in which time period did they belong to, or the kind of writings, the themes they opted for. All these are really important. Sometimes the poems prescribed for you may not be fitting to their usual themes. Still, you can locate, you can mark down some features specific to different writers. The way of writing, way of style of writing, their language, way of presenting themes is how their own unique features. So, in the same way, Shelley also, if you try to locate, he belongs to one of the writers of nature, actually, a person belonging to the romantic tradition. Think about the paper, history paper that you have in second semester, that ongoing paper, which is titled to be History of English Literature up to Romantic Revival. We have a break there. And the next part of that paper starts in the third semester. Actually, it's as a continuation. You have this paper. It will be titled History of English Literature from Romantic Revival to the present or the 21st century. So you can see this term getting too much of mention or an emphasis in the history of English literature itself. What's the reason for that? Actually, these are writers. The writers belonging to romantic school, romantic tradition. They had something different to claim. They were really different from other writers of the former centuries or the contemporaries of their own. They wanted to make everything in a different way. They wanted to bring difference in everything. The way they looked at nature or the themes and subject matter of their writings were really fantastic, really fine. Not in the way it's a subjective comment, but it's something entirely different. They turned to nature. That's why romanticism, in the sense of the term, is about these writers wanted to turn more to nature. They wanted to write about wind, a nightingale, Grecian urn, nightingale, wind, upon life itself. Unlike the past traditions where you were having fantasies, adventurous stories, everything like that. But later, yeah, you come to realism. Again, you are going back to adventurous stories, adventurous themes, or chivalry. Such themes are the thing about Beowulf. That particular subject matter doesn't have anything to do with nature and all. Later, think about Chaucer. From we really begin the literary discussions. I told you. At UG level, we cannot prescribe that writer. But at PG level onwards, you may have this Chaucer, his Canterbury Tales, where you have a cross section of the society. You have description of the people who are gathering, who are going for a journey to Canterbury. See, all these people, their descriptions, all those are there. But it doesn't have much to do with nature. Later, when you turn to some 15th and 16th centuries, there are also poems of, say, think about Shakespeare. Very subjective nature, even sonnet, in general, we know, tries to communicate some personal experience, personal sorrows, and elegies during that time with other contemporaries of Shakespeare. If you talk about 16th century and all, there also you come across the same difference. Like elegy, sometimes some persons are mourning upon someone's death and all. That's all. It not much to not actually. I do not have much to do with nature in general. Nature, its beauty, gardens, flowers. But these people, not just Shelley, you might have come across the names at least. Coleridge, Wordsworth, Shelley, Keats, Byron, Blake, even William Blake. Yeah, you can, there is a transition in between. From the neoclassic rigidity. Actually, classic writings means they stick on to some subject matter, some theme, their presentation. Everything is in a very constrained manner. പ്രസന്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നതിൽ ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് എന്താ പറയാ ഈ പ്രോസഡി ബേസ്ഡ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിന്റെ സ്ട്രക്ചർ ഇതൊക്കെയാണ് അവരുടെ കൺസേൺ. അതേസമയം ഇവരെന്ത് ചെയ്യുവാണ്, they start giving importance to their subject and theme. Like nature is our fascination. These people say romanticism. That's what you mean by this romanticism. So that they want to be very flexible in their presenting style of presentation. Think about starting writing a sonnet. You have constraints in presenting your theme because you have to make it just in 14 lines. You have to go for looking at the rhyme scheme, but these people actually do not fit to any of those circles. They do not want to limit themselves inside the structure of their writing, especially poetry. Structured in the sense that you are compromising your exposure towards theme and all. നമുക്ക് ഒരുപാട് തീമാണ് എഴുതാൻ. ഇവർക്ക് എന്താണ് വേണ്ടത്, നേച്ചറിനെ പറ്റി ഒരുപാട് എഴുതണം. അവിടെ നിങ്ങൾ 14 ലൈൻസിൽ ഒതുക്കണം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിന് റൈം സ്കീം വേണം. സോ ദാറ്റ് യു ഹാവ് ടു take care of all those structure-based aspects, and you may leave this theme. You may compromise this theme. But these people were entirely different from that rigidity. Rigidity, you know, flexibility, opposite to flexibility. These people wanted to be very, very flexible in their option of the theme. Actually, this poem on the part of Shelley is not definitely going to get as the real beauty of a nature-based poem. It again belongs to some other mode. Still, it has something to talk about life. If you have some other odds and all described on the part of such writers like Shelley, Keats, they'll know what they how they take nature for granted. They find entire beauty in nature. Something that we live as something silly, very silly, is not as such for them. They find beauty in everything around them. They take time to see nature, watch nature, and then write on that. They do not want to praise wars and war heroes. They feel that to be something waste of time. But other writers are there, as their contemporaries even, who never want to admit or never want to appreciate their style of writing. But later this became a rebellious, a kind of revolution in English literature, literary tradition, romanticism. Unlike in the past, we were getting flexibility in writing and theme and expression. അതുവരെയും അങ്ങനെയല്ല, വളരെ കൺസ്ട്രെയിൻഡ് സ്ട്രക്ചർ ബേസ്ഡ് ഒക്കെ ആയിട്ട് എഴുതി വന്നവരാണ് പിന്നീട് എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, ഇത്ര ലൈൻസിൽ എഴുതണം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇങ്ങനെ രീതിയിൽ എഴുതണം എന്നുള്ള സ്ട്രക്ചർ അതൊന്നും അല്ല. നമ്മൾക്ക് ഇതാണ് തീം, ദിസ് ഈസ് അവർ ഫേവറേറ്റ് തീം. I find beauty in sunrising and sunsetting. Setting sun, I see beauty of nature. The garden in front of my yard, I find beauty. So I sit down writing poem. This is the way they took literature. So those listing out, I will get the more details about that by the end of the session. Teacher finishes of history of English literature paper up to romantic revival, and these people all belong to that tradition. Actually, we have these prescribed writers in this order, though their time period, as we discussed, looks like being in the order. Actually, after Gray and Blake, we should have discussed the Shelley. Or even after Coleridge, only Shelley and all should come. It's not just about their time, age of living. But it's fine that we at least know what they mean by writing and theme and the subject matter. Okay? Yes. How things are clear? See, audio is clear though. Fine? Yes. Now to the poem. As usual, I'm going to highlight simultaneously as we discuss. I met a traveler from an antique land, who said, you can see the presence of two people, a speaker and another traveler. So most of the other part of the poem is actually as a conversation, as told by the traveler. Please note down that I met a traveler from an antique land who said, two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk, sunk, a shattered visage. Please note down the pronunciation, visage, visage, but pronounced as visage, lies, whose frown, and wrinkled lip, and sneer, sneer of cold command. Please note down that these are emphasized for the sake of explanation and better understanding. Tell that its sculpture anyone finding to join now? Its sculpture, well those passions read, which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things. The hand that mocked them, and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal, these words appear. Now we are talking about a person talking to another traveler. A speaker is there, a traveler is there. The traveler is talking about something completely here. Actually about a stone remaining of something that's actually, as we will discuss that. There is a stone image and what all things are there connected to that. That we will see now. That's actually words appear. My name is Ozymandias. That's a question in the very beginning. What is this Ozymandias? Is it a term? Is it a term with a meaning or a name? Actually, now you know this is a name. King of Kings. King of Kings. Look on my work. Sorry, look on my works. You mighty and despair. You mighty and despair. Nothing beside remains. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of the colossal wreck. Of the colossal wreck. Boundless and bare. Boundless and bare. The lawn and level sands stretch far away. The lawn, L-O-N-E, lawn and level sands, S-A-N-D-S, sands, level, sorry, the lawn and level sands stretch far away. Lawn and level sands stretch far away. Did you get anything from that? Any idea from that? The very beginning is the fine. I think that something is available about the beginning of the poem. Hope that is the what is about a speaker. There is a speaker here. A traveler is there. So I met a traveler from an antique land. Okay, our speaker meets a traveler from an antique land. Antique land means a very ancient land. Puradana, ancient land. Who said? Actually, this traveler was saying something to the speaker. And within after that you can see double cart to mark down this to be a something on the part of the traveler. Means what? This is going to be the kind of description that is available to the speaker on the part of this traveler. That is the idea that you have to keep in mind. So all these things are told about the desert he traveled and the kind of trunkless stone image he sees there in the desert. Two vast and trunkless depths of stone. Just wait. Let us take that image. Let us try to get that image. That's what I. Two vast and trunkless depths means trunkless means there is no body for that. Trunkless means there is no body. Two vast and trunkless legs of stone. We make different things, different shapes and some images of people or some other things with a stone or sometimes with many other materials, clay, many things we make use to make the mold or image of different items, including people. Right. So here in that case, it stands in the desert. Actually, this traveler is continuing traveling, but he talks about meeting up, coming across such a stone image with a trunkless legs, but some a head is there. All those things are set apart. Near them on the sand, half sunk as shattered visage. That's it. He sees the head part of that stone image because it's half sunk and shattered. But it's there, the visage. So visage means face. Lies whose frown and wrinkled lip. A statue like, actually it's a statue like, but nothing as such available because all those, the parts are shattered apart. Whose frown, but even now on that visage, on that face of the statue, the stone image, You can see the kind of frown, Frown. Frown. What is that? Frown. It's a kind of look of contempt. Sometimes you make that if you are not really happy about something. Sometimes you make some other expressions of contempt or irritation, something like that. മുഖം ചുളിക്കുക. So like on that visage itself, even now you can see the kind of frown and wrinkled lip, the kind of lip which actually you that person's contemptuous, or in a way the kind of irritation or some kind of arrogance you can see on that lip. I'm not talking about the speaker, not about the traveler. It's about the statue, that shattered statue. Still, some features are highly visible on that wrinkled lip, and sneer of cold command. Like you're going to talk about a king anyway. Going to talk about a king. The statue of a king, which is not actually intact now, but you can even now, after the years, after this decayed form in which it exists on the desert, bare desert, no one takes care of it. It's there as a kind of shattered existence. It's there it's a shattered parts only which is available now. But even now, you can see that a sneer of cold command. So obviously, a king, his face and the kind of expressions you see on that, or the traveler saw on that face, visage. And he explains that to the speaker of the poem, so that the speaker in turn talks about that to us, the readers. That's it. Actually, this is the situation. Then, tell that actually sculptor is the person who makes such statues, professional persons who are well versed in making something out of stone, carving. Actually, they carve very strong rock like stones, they carve ശില്പികളാണ്. That's it, sculpture. Well, those fashions spread, but still the traveler who saw that statue, at least the remainings of the statue, wonders how much passion is instilled or implied, devoted in his making of this, or making this particular stone image of this statue. Yes, the person's professionalism is still visible after its decay. This huge stone image is no longer there intact. But even then, in parts itself, it's really perfect. You can still read the kind of cold and sneer and the frown, wrinkled lip, every features in detail on that remaining parts even. So how much actually it survives even the skill of this sculpture. You can read from there. Stamped on these lifeless things. This is really lifeless as stone image. Sometimes we talk about looking at certain statues. We wonder and we express like that how it looks really as if it's alive. Obviously, sometimes when we visit some museums and all, when you look at those images, like statues, not even images, statues, we feel that they are still alive. Their eyes, everything is really keenly, it's very with maximum dexterity that is made. The skill of the artist is completely implied there. Here also you can see that even though this huge stone statue is remaining, or is in a scattered and shattered fashion manner, in its parts itself it's really beautiful, or somewhere available with its features, what the sculpture meant while making it. Even now that is visible. the expressions, especially when you draw a picture of a human being, or when you make a statue of a human being, what everyone notices down is the available expressions of that face, the perfection of different features like eyes, the glance, lips, sometimes even a small, a very minute smile even adds beauty to that. Why Mona Lisa, that picture is so praised. Even now, people are there behind that picture. Why it becomes different from other pictures? Why some arts become, what do you say, magnum opus? Magnum opus is a term. So pinnacle of excellence on the part of any artist. If it is about the number of writings of any person, you take one or two, you can mark down to be the pinnacle of excellence, and you call that the magnum opus of that writer. In the same way, in the case of any art, you can find out some works standing out from all their other works, writings. അവരുടെ തന്നെ മറ്റ് വർക്ക്സിൽ നിന്ന് വ്യത്യസ്തമായിട്ട് ഭയങ്കരമായ അപ്രീസിയേഷൻ ഡിമാൻഡ് ചെയ്യുന്ന, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഡിസേർവ് ചെയ്യുന്ന തരത്തിലുള്ള അത്രയും ബെസ്റ്റ് വർക്ക്സ് ക്വാളിറ്റി. സോ ഹിയർ ദിസ് ട്രാവലർ ഹു സീസ് ദിസ് സ്റ്റാച്യു, ദ സാറ്റേർഡ് സ്റ്റാച്യു, notices down the kind of skill, the dexterity of that sculpture actually. Because even now, even in it's like it's a shattered and it's almost decayed way, you see that parts are completely see away. It's there as a remaining only on the bare desert. No one takes care of that, but still that skill is now even now visible. That's what the traveler says. And the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. Actually, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. The heart of the sculpture is completely involved and implied here in its making. But maybe that hand might have mocked them actually. Why? The answer we will get later. Because now itself we will get it. On the pedestal, actually, sometimes on different monuments you see something is written. Sometimes as a memorial, sometimes as a quote on their part. Some on some tombs you mark down. Sometimes it's just about the year of their living, year of birth and date of birth, or year of birth and the year of death. Sometimes something in respect to them, respect to, or say paying respect, as a paying respect. Sometimes with the poets or writers, some of their favorite lines or something are written. Here on the pedestal of this statue, the words appear, these words appear, we will see again. My name is Ozymandias. This is how we get the name of that king. My name is Ozymandias, king of kings. King of kings. So now you realize that the statue, the shattered statue, the decaying statue is that of a king, Ozymandias. Look on my works, ye mighty and despair. Look on my works, ye mighty and despair. Okay, you see all my works. As the king, he says, commands, I am everything. Might and despair, nothing beside remains. Whenever he was, during his lifetime, he used to say, everything around me is lifeless, good for nothing. Nothing beside my work remains. Means, I am everything. I am the commander. I am the worthy. Everything else is worthless. This is the way this king used to look at everything else around him. That's why you can assume this hand of this sculpture mocked them. All these frowns, near cold command, wrinkled lips, and the arrogance on the face of this statue. While making, he wanted to make everything intact as those were on the face of the king while he was alive. അയാൾ ജീവിച്ചിരുന്ന കാലത്ത് അയാളുടെ മുഖത്തുണ്ടായിരുന്ന എല്ലാ എക്സ്പ്രഷൻസും, യൂഷ്വൽ എക്സ്പ്രഷൻസ്, ഓൾ ദോസ് ദിസ് സ്കൾപ്ചർ വാണ്ടഡ് ടു ബ്രിങ്. അതിൽ കോംപ്രമൈസ് ഇല്ല. പക്ഷെ അതെന്താണ്? ബിക്കോസ് ഇറ്റ് ആഡ്സ് ടു ഹിസ് ഓൺ ക്രിയേറ്റിവിറ്റി, ഹിസ് ഓൺ ഡെക്സ്റ്ററിറ്റി, skill. Dexterity is another term for skill. That's all. But actually, this person didn't didn't hold any respect for that king. After his death, maybe he might have made this statue. Even then, he was feeling a kind of mockery, like, oh, what kind of a king he was. Even writing the terms and the expression, the words of this king, like nothing beside remains. Actually, now the whole world witnesses that nothing beside remains. Actually, nothing is there around him. No one is there to take care of him. If he remained as a very good king, very compassionate king, people might have remembered him, might have thought about him, might have kept him in their memories. But now, everyone, even by looking at his statue, everyone, including the sculpture, feels a kind of contempt and mockery. Though he makes that as his professional demand, as per his professionalism, he also feels a kind of mockery towards this king, because what all things he said, the way in which he ruled, the way in which he treated others, nothing actually remains intact. No one is there to take care of him. No one is there to pay respect to him. Now in the barren desert, you see that image? In the barren desert, he remains there without being taken care of, without getting any respect as a ruler, as a former ruler. So here the same thing happens. Round the decay of the colossal wreck, down the decay actually under the decay, and the colossal wreck. Actually, this is a huge, colossal, very vast wreck. W-R-E-C-K, wreck. It's something shattered. Even the remaining is very huge, giant size, colossal, huge, vast. That's the meaning. Boundless and bare. Boundless and bare. Actually, the whole desert around that is boundless and bare. Nothing is there around him even. The lone and level sands stretch far away. We talk about deserts in that fashion. Lone and level sands stretch far away. We never feel that. When you look from the midst of the desert, you see that there is no end for this. There was a song, there's a poem, and I was there in 4th standard or something. Schooling time. കടലിനും ഒരുമാറു കരയുണ്ടോ? It's a question, and again I never got an answer till my later. Even the question was very serious on my part till I see, even after going for some shore, towards some shore and all, nothing. We never got an answer until some social science lessons taught me that. Obviously, the globe is like this. From this part, this is long, ocean is so vast, but after that there is some land. Always when you look from the shore, you think that this is end, and again it's sky touching the waves. Nothing else you see. You don't see another land there on the next side, unlike in the case of a river or a stream. So this is what you mean by literature. And here, same with the case of a desert. At least you might have come across. I don't know whether you have paid a visit to desert. I didn't. But in movies and all, we see the kind of tension of the people who are deserted, who are left alone in the midst of desert. Some movies portray that very seriously well. And now this king, the statue, made actually in to pay respect to the king, but now he remains as the way he paid. Actually, what the way he lived, the attitude he kept towards others. He did have this sneer of cold command or a kind of frown every time he was always a bit of unhappy towards everyone, not an approachable king at all. So, the same way he is looked back now, he is treated now, his statue is left out without any consideration, any concern, any respect. So, this only this far away, this sands are stretching far away. There is no other possible respect or anything. As a king, he during his living time, he might have thought that okay, being a strong ruler, people may think about me even after my death. They will pay respect. They will take care of me or my remainings with the due respect and all. But no, that's just our thinking. And I would like to invite your attention towards the fifth poem in this module. We haven't dealt that, but the lines that are there in this poem actually elegy written in a country churchyard. This is the fifth poem. Actually, you are familiar with that because it's you have already written down elegy written in a country churchyard. There you can see a line which leads you to think about the situation of this person, this Ozymandias. Let us see that. I'll highlight this for you for the time being. The paths of glory lead but to the grave. This is the line from the poem. This is the way you have to study literature also. The paths of glory lead but to the grave. This is how romantic literature becomes something lifelike or immediately connected with the life, the realities of life. Even Ozymandias has to teach us something very important, especially during this pandemic time. When COVID-19 is showing its worst phase, still people are there. We come across people who are still there behind glory, possessing wealth, everything, but parts of glory. Yeah, Ozymandias is a very glorious king, had been a glorious king. The name of the king, actually, please don't we didn't emphasize till now. I emphasize that's the name of the king, which Ozymandias, the statue, is made after him. And we met meet a speaker and a traveler. They are speaking. This traveler is talking about his experience of viewing this statue in the desert. Traveler ഡെസേർട്ടിലൂടെ പോകുമ്പോൾ കാണുന്ന ആ ട്രങ്ക്ലെസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള മുഴുവനും ഷാറ്റേർഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സ്റ്റാച്യു അത് ആരുടേതാണ്? ആ കിങ്ങിന്റെയാണ്. ആ കിങ്ങിന്റെ അവസ്ഥകളെ പറ്റിയാണ് പറയുന്നത്. അതിലൊരു സ്കൾപ്ചർ കൂടി വരുന്നുണ്ട്. അങ്ങനെ ഒരുപാട് ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ് ആണ്. തിങ്ക് അബൌട്ട് ദ നമ്പർ ഓഫ് ലൈൻസ് ഫോർ ദി പോം. But how much we have to explain to get the idea completely well. This is why we always recommend you to attend the sessions. Okay, so but I would like to invite this attention towards this line, and when we deal with this form, we will get things more clear in a clear cut manner. Just let me just paste it here for your own reference. You can note down how important it is and how much you can make use of. You can make use of this line. If you have a question about Ozymandias, you can quote this line. This is how you can make your answers in the examination or in some other research papers and all very beautiful. You're quoting from another poet for writing about this poet or this another poem. You're taking another literary piece. As it is described, it's easily identifiable. If you are a very voracious reader, when you come across this particular idea, you can definitely locate such other themes discussing the futility of glory or possession, all those things, all those ideas you can connect when you write down something, when you prepare a speech, or when you prepare an assignment on some of such themes, such subject matters. How this is very, this idea is clear for you. Not just with this poem, with any other poems, you can draw connections. Paths of glory lead but to the grave. At last, everyone ends up in grave. Nowadays, not even there. We used to talk about the necessity of some 6 feet of soil at the end, but nowadays, electric, a kind of electric, see, some other methods are there also, are also there for burial of human body. We used to think that human beings are the ultimate center of importance, especially when you are in power and all. But everything leads to nothing but grave. At the end, everyone ends up in grave. So the same way we see how Ozymandias, with this kind of an arrogance, power, glory as a king, ends up in grave and for nothingness. He ends up in nothingness. At least if as a king he was he was very compassionate, approachable, favorable to the subjects, people around him. At least they could have they would have remembered him or paid respect to him in that way. But now that even is not available because of his stand. So Ozymandias, though it's not completely connected with the nature-based writings, it has something to do with the kind of life and its meanings. That also is there. Not just about the things outside or things around us, but what is there in humanity, human life, what's specific about that, unlike the fanciful representation. Even though it's about a king, we don't represent as a romantic writer. Shelley never wants to represent any glory, doesn't want to praise this king, but instead he opts to discuss the futility of this power. Unlike the writers of the past, who really wanted to praise the kings for earning. Actually, that was what is happening in literature, especially in England, English literature, till a time period. Actually, till this kind of revolutionary thoughts in literature and literary writings. There were writers. Actually, what do you mean by this poet laureates? Laureates are there actually as the people who are there to write for the sake of our kingdom, the kings, queens, in their voice, for their benefits. They are given something in back, like they have earnings, appreciation, everything. But even in that case, they cannot do justice to their art. They cannot always point out the problems or errors in the rulers, the injustices on their part. Yes, they are doing some kind of a service to the kingdom, to the rulers. It's not about a time of democracy, but now we know what kind of freedom that we avail. Even in democratic condition, we know how much freedom is there for the writers and critics. In that case, think about the time period when its despotic rulers had been ruling or had been reigning England or any other Western nations, or any other nations where you have kingly royal rules. But these people wanted to challenge that. They wanted to represent the futility of power, glory, everything. That leads to nothing but grave. So you can see Thomas Gray, the writer of Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard, also as a transitional poet. Transition means, you are shifting your thought. Some writers are shifting your thought from very rigid themes like chivalry, praising of kings and queens or their rulers. Mark down your uniqueness in themes and subject matter. In that way, these people stay really different. You will come across Blake. You might have already come across Coleridge, Kubla Khan, Wordsworth, Solitary Reaper, completely highly involved in nature. So this is the way you have to see and look at different poems. Okay, so that's all for the day. Thank you so much for joining.